Hey, what's up, all? My name is TrvAix, and I want to show you how I mastered my new track. It's kind of like cutting the EQs instead of boosting them. So, first of all, I'll show you what it sounds like without mastering. This is just it's got a lot of headroom, negative 12 headroom, negative 10 headroom. Alright, so you might think like, alright, so I'm gonna master my track, right? So I'm gonna bring this full chain master on, right? Like, so what you do is you go to audio effects, mixing and mastering, and I have the master rig TrvAix, but you might go down to full chain master, right? Full chain master right here. So you pull that out. Sounds like this. So this is without. This is with. It's a little bit better, but now let me show you. I took that full chain master and I tweaked the buttons and I saved it as my own thing. So this is with my tweaks. Sounds like this. So this is assuming that you're using stereo imaging with either Serum or the isotope stereo imager, like in your mixing process, so you don't have to use too much stereo imaging in the master. Because I don't know if Ableton has a stereo imager. It might. Check back. Leave it a comment if it does. And I'm also assuming you're using the drum bus. Those are two essential things. Like, I'll show you how to do stereo imaging on your synth. Here's Serum. Go to effects. The hyper/dimension. You basically throw the mix up a little bit. Change the size up a little bit, make it pretty big if you want it to be really wide. This isn't the widest sound that I have. But then also, you're going to use the Ozone Imager. This was free. I don't know if it's still free or not. But Ozone Imager 2 is a free plugin. So you can set the width here and you click the stereoize button. And when you click that, I have set to 10.9 milliseconds. That means the difference between the delay in the left and right is 10.9 milliseconds. And just so you know, like I think 1,000 milliseconds is 1 second. So it's not that big of a deal. I think it defaults at 6 milliseconds. Or is it 100 milliseconds is 1 second? I don't know. Either way. So you're going to want to use Ozone Imager 2 and then use the hyper dimension in Serum. I guess I can show you what those sound like. So, alright. Alright, so this is the stereo imager without the stereo imager, just like that. So I'm going to turn it on and go even bigger. And what that's doing is just making the stereo image wider, And there's another thing that you can do with this. It's making the difference between the left and the right channel stronger. So you can go width up. And this is showing on the screen like how wide it is. So this is like centered. This is wide. So you're gonna want to be doing that in your mixing process. But yeah. So what I do is so you got your drum bus. I'll show you the difference between my drums with and without the drum bus. So this is without the drum bus. This is with the drum bus. It really gives that punch to the kick drum. Another little trick that I do with the kick drum is I use this multi-band dynamics. This is not OTT. I know you all like OTT, but so this is without the multi-band dynamics. This is with. And then I turn on the... Sounds like this without the punchy drum. So I mean, this is just your basic 909 kick, except for I tuned it. You turn on that multi-band dynamics and it gives more buzz to it, and then you turn on and it makes the kick longer. Then you turn on the punchy driven on the drum bus and it brings the punch back to it. So it's really processed signal there. Now the way I tuned it, because I have the pitch. This is what it sounded like when I first started. Now my song's in F sharp. You see I was hitting a G. It's just G is what the 909 kick is. Saying a G is almost a G sharp. If you see in the corner here how the ball is to the right, I mean it's a little bit sharp of G. So what I did is I turned the pitch down one semitone, which brings it down to F sharp, but still a little bit up there. So I'll bring the detune it down. I went down 35, I believe. And that brought my kick right into the center there. So tuning your kick is important for the mix to get everything layered correctly. Okay, so now for the juice. I'm sure if you're watching, you could have seen what I did with the EQ. You see this EQ here. Everything's turned down. Now, the reason I have it turned down is because I don't want to... I don't want to clip on the EQ. If the EQ is clipping, then you're screwed for the rest of the master, right? So I had an idea that I wanted the bass and the highs to be a little bit higher than the mids. So I turned the bass down -5, the high down -6, and the mid down -7. Turn stereo enhance way up, overdrive way up, limiter gain way up, compression all the way up. So I was able to bring all the compression up. I was able to bring all the compression and the overdrive and everything way up, and the limiter gain way up because I cut everything with the EQ. And if you see, You see, this is what it looks like without the, if you see this EQ here, this is what it looks like without my mastering. And here's my with my mastering. You see how it's just tickling the top of the bass, like tickling, clipping on the top. Turn it off. So it's, you know, kind of pretty low down there. It's at like 6 or 7 decibels. Turn it back on. It's getting up to 12 basically. A little bit higher actually, 13, maybe 14. So yeah. I do have one cut here at 20 kilohertz. I have just a hard cut, this 4, to the 4, and a hard cut there on the 20 kilohertz. I'm gonna I just want to keep opening the file again so I can start back to how I was before I messed up everything. I don't want to save the changes that I'm making, because I have it perfectly, like I have it out on SoundCloud. My name is TrvAix OLeary on SoundCloud. I can actually show you my page. This is my page, TrvAix OLeary. So, like I said, I cut the EQs. So I wanted, instead of making the bass and the highs go up, I brought everything down. So I was able, I just brought the mid lower down than the bass and the highs, if that makes sense. Instead of making the bass and the highs higher. And then I also, another thing I did was, let's see, this limiter is reducing by 1.10 decibels. The reason for that is, without it, it's redlining. And basically what I did there was I just like typed in an amount, like I tried, you know, I type in -2 and I see, okay, it's not red. I type in 1 and it's red. So I did 1.1 and it's not red anymore. So that makes it just as loud as possible. Yeah, so basically what I suggest for mastering, I'm gonna move my camera real quick. So basically, show you how to get there. You go to audio effects. There's sounds, drums, instruments, audio effects, audio effect rack, mixing and mastering. Go to full chain master. And if you just want like there's aggressive dance master, which is pretty good for dubstep. It makes it almost distorted, like really high on the overdrive and stuff like that. I can show you what that sounds like. Out of the box, this one sounds better. Here's mine though. So basically you're gonna go to full chain master. So audio effects, audio effect rack, mixing and mastering, full chain master, pull that onto your bar. And just what I would do is bring the bass down, bring the mid down even lower, bring the high down just a little bit below the bass probably. And then just bring that allows you to bring the overdrive up to make it louder. Stereo enhance up, comp up, limiter gain up. And then what you're gonna do is throw a utility. The way you get a utility is it's an audio effect. Utility is just a way to set an exact amount of decibels for your gain reduction. So yeah, you could use this. I mean, this is exact too, I guess, but it's like there's a lot of reasons why I don't use the faders, but so I just do -3 and see if that's clipping. If it's clipping, do -5. And then if that's totally not clipping, try like 4.5. You type in an exact number. Anyway, yeah. There's something interesting that I kind of want to show you. The difference between my mastering and the original. All right, I'm gonna. Another thing that I like to do is instead of putting the effect racks on the master channel, I just have an EQ on the master channel with nothing, just so I can see what it looks like. It's just a way to monitor it. What I did was I grouped up my synths, grouped up my percussion, grouped up my other drums, grouped up my bass, and then I grouped all those together as the master bus, which runs to the master channel. And that way I can, so my master bus right now is at -1.4. I can see on the master channel what it's really coming to. Like, see how the number is different? Like, this is 15.7, but on this is 14.8. It's a little something to think about. Okay, so the difference between my track and the Lander mix, because I'm coming from using Lander. Oh, I used this. This was my reference track. That I can't have that in this video. The reference track was basically what I used to check the EQ. I didn't use it for structure or anything like that. I just used it for the EQ. All right. So the difference between my master and the Lander master, I'm done with Lander because I had paid way too much and I was getting international debit card fees for paying them. And I figured out I could master myself, and it's better because they have an automated mastering service. So, yeah, it sounds a little louder, but they just artificially boost up the bass end on your tracks. Like, if you listen, like, at the very intro, like... Now you listen to mine. Mine sounds a lot cleaner. Here's theirs. Like, theirs sounds so noisy. Mine sounds creamier. Okay, so but on the drop, theirs sounds more bass heavy, but also what I did when I went back and mastered it, I realized that I used the reference track, and I realized here I'm gonna play my track. What I realized was their track is just tickling the top end of this 12 or 14 decibel on the bass. It's just tickling the top of the EQ. I'll show you again. See, it's just tickling the top of the EQ. Now, if you look at the Lander Master, it's artificially boosting the bass. It's clipping out the bass. Like, watch this. See that? That is not tickling. That is 100% of the time. That is 100% of the time clipping out the bass. Watch this. Okay, now I'll show you mine. Mine's just tickling the top of the bass. See? A little bit below the top. So yeah, the Lander one sounds a little bit louder, but they're artificially clipping out the bass, which is not cool. Not gonna sound good in a club. It might sound good on Spotify, but I mean, like I said, like in the intro, like here's mine, here's theirs. Sounds like noise, right? And in their defense, I do make that noise come out by using the compressor on the kick, the multi-band dynamics. See, I make that noise come out, but it's kind of an effect I'm going for. But if I can use the drum bus in my mastering to smooth it out, and it's just, it kind of sounds like it's like an off bass in my master. Like it's like an off bass, and that's just kind of a good sound. I'll do one more A/B of like my mastering with so let's see here. Here's without my mastering. Alright, cool. I hope this video helped you all. Showing you can master your own tracks. It's a lot easier than it seems. So the three things that I would check is on the master channel, or on the master bus channel here. Sorry, this was covered up. This is where I have my master bus. So like I said, like I group up the synths, group up the percussion, group up the drums, group up the bass, and then it goes to this master bus here. Sorry, the camera was covering that up earlier. So, three things. Cut EQs. Don't boost them. And then use overdrive and compression and limiter gain to get louder, and then use a utility to bring it down to the perfect amount so that it's not clipping. So cut EQ, don't boost, and then bring it up with overdrive and saturation, compression, and stuff. And like if you want the bass and the highs to be louder than the mid, just cut the mid lower than the bass and the highs. So cut EQ. Stereo widening with the Ozone Imager 2, I think that's what it's called, and the hyper dimension on Serum. And 3, the drum bus. For sure, the drum bus. And the reason I cut EQ instead of boost it, if you think about it, like you already made a track that's super loud. if you boost the EQ, then you're gonna be clipping out on the equalizer. And I know technically Ableton doesn't work that way. Like if you lower the volume on the next part of the chain of effects, it shouldn't be clipping, but it is clipping. So instead of boosting EQ, you're cutting EQ, and then you're able to bring it back up with compression and overdrive and stuff like that. All right, I'm rambling now. The drum bus is insane. There's lots of... I use Punchy Driven. There's lots of other ones to look for. The way to find the drum bus, go to Audio Effects, drum bus right here. There's all these different options. And sadly, I think the stereo imager is only available in Serum, so you can only use it on your synths. And the Ozone Imager, the Serum and the Ozone Imager 2, but the Ozone Imager 2 is a free plugin from what I understand. That you go Isotope Ozone Imager, yeah. Another thing is mid-side EQ. I'm not going to get into that too much, but I did use it. I'll show you what I did. So here's my mid setting, cutting it at 367 hertz, and my side is boosting at it looks like 230 hertz, but actually no. I was boosting at 426 hertz, boosting all the highs, and it's cutting at 230 hertz, cutting down low. Anyway, that's on this sound. Without the mid-side EQ, it sounds like this. Without the mid-side and OTT. Cool. Yeah, I also have oh wow. Another really important thing is definitely sidechain. Hello. I sidechain with LFO tool. This is what my sidechain looks like. So for this amount of time, the beginning of each bass hit, when the kick drum hits, it cuts out the bass. That's really important for mastering too. And another really important thing, I would say, so number one, cut EQs. Number two, drum bus. Number three, stereo widening. 4, sidechain. And the fifth one is make sure everything's in key. Everything has to be in key. If you're playing a certain chord, all the notes that are playing in that on the other instruments should be part of that chord. Keep everything in key. So like I hit an F sharp. When I go down to hit the C sharp, because I'm not going to get into it, but it's an inverted chord that I bring down a whole octave. When I hit the C sharp, I change the other synths in my song. I change the other synths to be C sharps as well. C sharp. So anyway, I'm rambling at this point. I hope that helped. That's how I master my track. I'll play it one last time for the people who are skipping to the end. Without, oh my gosh. Now with. All right, I'll catch you later. My name's TrvAix. See you later. Goodbye.